While I'm living with an impending visitor of death, while I'm still alive, I'm going to live.
He looks like a Boilermaker who's going to fight no matter what, right? That courage, it's just incredible.
If you don't have your health, it's going to look different. And how are you going to respond to that? That's the question.
What lessons did Tyler leave you guys that still impact you every single day? From South Bend to Evansville and everywhere in between, this is Get In, the show focused on the Hoosier State and the incredible stories happening here today. I'm Nate Spengel, founder of Get Indiana, and I will be your host for today's conversation. Before we get into today's episode, one of our partners, Pence Media Group, has been working to help elevate a few local brands into the national spotlight. Nicole, what have y'all been up to?
We have a lot of cool things going on right now at Pence Media Group, but one of the neatest clients that we've had for a long time is National FFA. And since school's starting up, I thought I'd bring it up. Not everybody realized that National FFA, the largest youth leadership organization in the country, is headquartered right here in Indiana. More than 1 million members, so 1 million students, are a part of National FFA, chapters all over the country, a lot of chapters here in Indiana. And you know them because they wear that blue jacket, right?
I was just going to say 1 million members, like the corduroy,
more than 1 million.
The corduroy jacket business has to be good.
It is very good for FFA. And I think when people say to me, oh, our youth have nothing to do and in high school and they're not motivated and they need to be good leaders and they can't look people in the eye, I say, have you checked out National FFA? So we've been doing a lot of PR nationally for National FFA for a long time. And one of the stories we recently did was with Parents Magazine. And we talked a lot about how you gotta put your kid in something that helps them think on their own, communicate on their own, learn on their own. And so partnering with National FFA is absolutely one of my favorite things we do at PMG.
I love it. And we're getting ready for National Convention. It's going to be coming up in October, right?
That's right. And talk about corduroy jackets. They're like everywhere.
Oh, they take over downtown. It's
they
great.
do. And again, it's cool. I mean, it's a big deal that we have that headquartered right here in Indiana. And agriculture is booming. So it's really neat to have it all connected back to the Hoosier State.
I love it. Well, hey, keep up the good work and we'll talk soon.
Sounds great.
Now let's get into the episode. Today I'm joined by Tony and Kelly Trent, the parents of the late Tyler Trent, a Purdue University student whose courageous battle with osteosarcoma inspired millions. Through the Tyler Trent Foundation, they have continued Tyler's mission to raise awareness and funding for pediatric cancer research, honoring his legacy with events like the annual Tee Off for Tyler golf outing, this upcoming concert that they're going to have, and a few other cool things that we're going to talk about later in the show. Their work through the Tyler Trent Foundation has helped raise over $500,000 and continues to make national impact in the fight against cancer. With a total of more than $3 million raised in Tyler's honor so far, that's incredible. I'm excited to dive through the story of, oh my gosh, from when Tyler was 15, all the way through his time at Purdue, the Ohio State game that's just iconic and legendary, and being on College Game Day. This is a really, I'm just really excited for this episode, and I appreciate you guys coming on and joining us.
Well, thanks for having us, Nate.
I went to DePauw, so D3 school. I was on the football team there. But I've been like a life. I always like to say in Indiana, you either kind of lean towards IU or you lean towards Purdue. And I'm one of the guys that, no offense to my IU fans out there, but I lean more towards Purdue.
Oh, awesome.
Good choice.
So, yeah, exactly, right? So I remember being a senior in college and seeing and hearing about this story and learning about Tyler. And it is just a truly inspiring story of his courageous battle with osteosarcoma. Is that a pediatric bone cancer?
Yes.
And then to see the legacy continuing to live on, and the Tyler Trent Foundation, all the money that's been raised for cancer research is incredible. Before we talk about the impact that's going on today, I'd love to start with kind of like this first Frisbee toss that set off this chain of events for over the last 6 years.
Tyler had been complaining about his arm hurting. He played a lot of basketball, so we were just kind of thinking maybe he pulled it in basketball or something, but he threw a Frisbee and fell to the ground in pain, and it turns out it was broken and the tumor was actually holding it together. But that is essentially how we found out. We went in for sports medicine clinic at Methodist, and I'll never forget that day when the doctor walked back into the room and he was looking at the x-ray and shaking his head. His back was to us. He was shaking his head, and I knew something was wrong, and he was like, see this? And he circled the tumor. He said, that shouldn't be there.
What grade was Tyler in at that point?
A sophomore.
At what high school?
Well, he was homeschooled.
Homeschooled?
Yeah.
Okay.
He was in a co-op So
Okay, got you. So sophomore in high school, like you're talking about playing lots of basketball, playing like being pretty active, and then obviously like this tumor is holding his broken arm together, and then what does the process from like doctor circles this tumor on a X-ray, like what does the next months to years look like of this journey for you all?
that same day, we're about 10 minutes away from the sports clinic. And I was maybe halfway home, and the doctor called me personally, which also made me realize he looked at it immediately, like after they did the MRI. And again, I'll never forget, he said, Mrs. Trent, while I can't be 100% sure, I am quite certain your son he actually said Ewing sarcoma, and it ended up being osteo. But he was in the car with me. He had a friend with him, and I was speechless. Like I didn't even know how to respond or what to do. And basically just drove home in silence. He really never asked.
How do you guys as parents like go through that conversation, you know, like, because you're learning about this for, I'm presuming the first, like you're like online researching, talking to people, then also having this conversation with your 15-year-old son.
Right.
Like, that has to be really challenging.
It's one of those things that you never forget where you're at, the thoughts that you have going through your mind. I was driving on 465 and Kelly called me crying and said, the doctor thinks that Tyler has cancer. And so I drove home right away. You know, Kelly fell into my arms. We're healthy people. We've never been to the children's hospital before. We didn't even really, honestly, I didn't even know like kids got cancer.
Oh, that's like someone else's family,
Right.
It's like,
Yeah.
It never like, I don't know, it gets in your like immediate circle, and you don't have that experience until you have that experience.
Right.
Exactly. You know, today there will be 50 more kids get cancer.
Today.
Every day, 50 kids get cancer. And actually, I think the number's higher than that.
Man.
I mean, statistically, that doesn't sound like a lot, but it's a lot if it's your child.
Oh, yeah.
And
like, I just can't even imagine. How does the dynamic between being the parent and then the doctors talking and having a child, like, I think that dynamic of how you're having that conversation, because, I mean, everyone that knows the story, like, Tyler becomes so inspiring and, like, it's crazy the, like, level of, I think David Blau says it in one of his, like, he looks like a Boilermaker who's going to fight no matter what, right? And I think that courage, it's just incredible that came. Like, were there conversations that you all had where he was talking to you and saying like, I'm going to beat this thing, and you know, like, how does that dynamic work?
Yeah, I think initially he very much was, ready for the fight. And Tyler always acted older than he was. He was very mature early, and in regards to treatment and everything, he was very much a part of the conversation and wanted to know everything. It didn't always stay like that. You know, there was a point where he wanted to take his own life. Yeah. And I think a lot of it had to do with chemotherapy and what it does to your brain that people don't realize.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
So my mom passed away back in 2017 from cancer, and I was kind of like, her and I were a unit, and I had driven her to all this stuff, like all the treatments, and I would not wish that on my worst enemy. Like, it's like a necessary evil, but it is an evil. Like, it is so hard. So I can only imagine, and being a 15, 16-year-old kid. But how that first bout with cancer goes, like, it seems to go as well as it could, right? Like, is he like ever technically cancer free, or like, how's that?
They call it no evidence of disease.
Right.
No
But it's there, you know, it's there. And there's a thing called chemo brain. And Tyler got chemo brain. At 15 years old, you have a child who was the leader in his school. Everybody followed him. He was super involved with everything. And you take somebody that loses their identity. It's kind of like the Jersey effect, right? I don't know if you've ever read that book. It's called The Jersey Effect. Basically, it talks about NFL players that have their name on the back of their jerseys, but when they retire, they don't have their jerseys anymore. So they lose their identity. So Tyler's identity was rooted in his faith, and got chemo brain, and his friends didn't understand why he was behaving a certain way.
Yeah.
The first round was the hard round. I'd say Kelly and I did better the first round, and then he got to ring the bell and basically committed his faith in saying, you know, God, if I get this, I didn't do it well the first time, and for some reason I get it again, I'm going to live out my faith the second time. And so the first time it was harder and probably easier for us. We kind of flipped roles. And the second time was easier for him and harder for Kelly and I.
And I know, where throughout the journey did he know that he wanted to go to Purdue?
He always wanted to go to IU, ironically, initially. And I think he did it because he bantered with Kelly or with me, because I was an avid Purdue person.
Where
I
you
went
guys
to
from?
Purdue.
Like what part of the state?
Indianapolis.
You're from Indianapolis? Okay.
I'm from a small town up by Delphi.
Oh, what small town?
Flora.
Flora.
Yeah.
Carroll High School?
Carroll High School.
Come on. Cougars?
Yeah.
Come on. There we go.
Yeah.
That's like kind of my shtick, is knowing all the small town high school mascots.
We visited IU. We visited NC State and Clemson and a whole bunch of other schools. But he decided against IU, and he got offered a really big time scholarship at NC State.
I think it's important to say in regards to NC State, Jimmy V was a big NC State guy, and Tyler always used to write on his hand every time we were in the hospital, "Don't give up, don't ever give up." So I think he really changed his direction from IU to NC State and was pretty set on it. And then Tony.
And then he got a really substantial scholarship. Even at one time they offered him $100,000 stipend for while he studied there. And then they reached back to him and said, well, I think we've made a mistake, and they reduced the offer. Purdue didn't have at the time data analytics major. And he came to us and said, he was excited. And he said, man, hey, look, Purdue has offered this data analytics major now. I think I'm going to go to Purdue. And so that's how he ended up at Purdue.
That's how he ended up at Purdue.
Yeah.
So throughout the journey there, when he makes his decision to go to Purdue, had the second bout with, like, where did that pop up at?
He graduated his senior year.
So he knows that he's going, but I remember from the video watching that, like, going to school on time was
Very
so important to him. Even to the point where he has like his pelvis replaced.
Right.
Yeah. So he had to have a major surgery because with osteosarcoma, you have to get it out. Like, if you can't get it out, there's no chance. And so they had to restructure his pelvis and hip bone and put in a cement block they did something temporarily just so he could get to school on time. And then he came back later that fall to have the permanent surgery. But he was that serious about getting to school.
Yeah, he was super determined kid. And it was 5 days. He went to school 5 days after the surgery. And he later...
How is that as parents? Like, dropping off your child who just had a major surgery 5 days later to like it's already hard to drop a kid off at college, let alone after a major surgery. How are you guys having those discussions?
Yeah, it was not an easy
Nearly
discussion.
Impossible.
But he later told us that it was so painful he could barely do it. But he did it.
And we didn't find that out till much later.
Yeah, much later.
But I mean, that is like the determination, right? If he put his mind to it, he was going to make it happen.
Yeah, that's who he was. I mean, honestly, he probably gets it honestly because I was a lot like that when I was a kid. My other two boys have it as well. So I don't know if it's genetic or not.
So you guys drop him off at college. Yeah. But he has to come back at some point and have an even more major surgery.
He does.
Like, how did that first year at Purdue, and where did he fully become entrenched in the Boilermaker community?
Even his freshman year, right away, he got involved with the Exponent, which is the Purdue newspaper.
Yeah.
And he was following sports in doing that. And that's how he connected with David Blau initially.
And at this point, when he steps foot on campus, he's just like a freshman, right? Because somewhere during it, he becomes every Purdue grad knows who Tyler Trent is. But that's a little bit later in the story.
That's his sophomore year.
Okay.
Well, the camp out was what first got him on the map. He camped out before the first home Purdue football game, and nobody camped out for Purdue football. It was not a thing. And so the coach caught word of it and came by to meet Tyler and his friend Josh, and it just kind of went from there.
Yeah, but I think there's an important detail we need to circle back on the Exponent deal. So Tyler, he was also a journalist, and so he actually covered Purdue basketball initially. So he traveled to New York City and covered the Big Ten tournament And so he kind of got his, his story started a little bit through the exponent and then started with football.
So he was like having interactions with some of the athletes.
Yeah.
And then so it comes full circle. When is the second major surgery?
Just right before school.
Oh.
Like he was
Sophomore year.
Yeah.
Okay, so sophomore year,
Yeah.
and then he goes back to school.
So no, that was his freshman year. When he had the second major surgery, it was right before his freshman year.
I got you. Okay, I'm following.
Yes.
But so then he goes back for fall of his sophomore year.
Yes.
And yeah, at the time, and Purdue, I'm trying to remember through, like, how had the team been? Like, they're not, like, had been crazy good, right?
No, they were terrible.
No.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, no, like Kelly said, no one camped out for them.
Yeah.
And it's ironic. It's just like Purdue football needed Tyler and Tyler needed Purdue.
Yeah.
And you know, he needed something to hope for and a dream that's not cancer.
Where
right?
did this idea, he's like, we're going to camp out for this game. Like, where did that
Well,
come from?
he came home for treatment and he's at the house picking up all of his camping stuff. And I'm like, what are you doing? And he said, well, Josh and I are going to camp out. And I'm like, when are you doing that? Well, we're doing that tonight or tomorrow night. And I'm like, you just had treatment and you just had surgery on your hip and you're going to lay on a concrete, sidewalk to camp out? And he said, yes. And I'm like, all right.
They wanted to be the first in line to get in the student section, like the first ones in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. I mean, that is like, it's like the best kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like when
yeah.
people see that, they're like, that kid's crazy.
Yeah.
You know? Like,
Yeah.
Okay. So
And he
camps
loved
out.
sports. He was definitely a sports guy.
And it's like anytime you're doing something unique, right? Like, or something that's like one of one, it's like, oh, people are gonna like look, and it's just like shows your excitement for Purdue football.
Right.
And so coach got word of that.
Yes.
And then comes and stops by their camp out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the local paper found out about it and came and did an article also.
And the first articles though, is that just like these students are
Yeah.
like they
Yeah.
don't know anything
Yeah.
about like
Yeah.
what
No.
he's dealing with on the personal
Yeah.
front.
And
It's
he
just like-
didn't want people to know. I mean, he had a bald head. So if they asked him, he would tell them, but he would never say, I have cancer.
Yeah. So he just so really the whole way that he like kind of started to get some notoriety was through being a super fan for Purdue.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Oh, I
Yeah.
see. I did not
Yeah.
know that
Yeah.
piece of the story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he camps out all night. He and his friend Josh.
Yes.
Yeah.
He and Josh are the first two in the student section.
Yeah.
And they're like right dead center.
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
front. Okay.
Yeah.
And then from there, though, it's like, okay, that was a cool weekend thing. Where does the story keep rolling into, like the literally being like
Right.
on college game day?
He also he camped out and then they asked him to be the honorary captain for the Hammer Down Cancer game, which is a game they have every year. And then so that was kind of it in regards to football. And then like Tony said after that, he started writing for basketball in the Exponent. And during that is when we found out that it had come back on his spine and it was terminal at that point. So yeah, we found that out in April.
So, okay, so this is April of sophomore year?
Yes,
Yeah.
2018.
So April of sophomore year, you find out that the cancer had returned. It's on his spine and that it's terminal. I'm going to ask this similar question of how do you sit down and have that conversation with your college sophomore that whether it's 2 months or 2 years or whatever amount of time, that this is ultimately going to be the thing that does him in. How do you have that conversation?
It's a hard one.
Yeah.
I'll never forget this look on his face.
Well, and ironically, he had come home from basketball. He'd been out.
He was in New York.
and his car was parked at our house. And he said, "Mom, I'm going to get in about 1, but I'm going straight back to school." And we were hoping he was going to stay overnight so we could talk to him the next day. So
did you guys had the doctor or someone talk to
Yes.
you all, and then you're like, "Hey, we need to sit down and have a little discussion."
Right. Yeah, and he had no idea. He did not know. His back had been bothering him, but we initially were told it wasn't that, and then it came back that it was. We went up there the next night, that Tuesday night, to take him out for dinner, and that's when we had to tell him.
Oh man, I just can't even imagine how challenging of a conversation that is.
And truthfully, the doctor told us 2 weeks to 2 months. We did not. I was not going to tell my son that. There was no way I was putting a time limit. I didn't want him to live with that, which I think has a lot to do also with just his fight, to keep going while he could.
I don't know. I like totally agree. It's clear that he was very courageous and such a again, I go back to like the David Blau, like look, he's gonna fight with no matter what he has, right? He's a Boilermaker. So you have that conversation. Like, what are the dominoes that end up like elevating him? Like, I mean, national status, like fandom, way bigger than just Lafayette.
I didn't know this about him, but apparently he would sneak up like late at night and watch Sports Center and SVP and everything, and we didn't know that. He knew all those guys, and somehow he friended Woj, Adrian Wojnarowski. He's an NBA analyst for ESPN.
Like
he's no longer
like
there.
Tyler did.
Yeah, Woj came to our house and brought him dinner, and he was in town for an NBA final or something with the Pacers, and so Woj kind of spread the story with ESPN personalities.
How did Woj find out about it?
I don't know. He connected online with him somehow.
The like explosion of just like all the media, all the press thing starts from Tyler sneaking up late at night to watch Sports Center, and Woj somehow like whether it's online they connected.
They connected online somehow, and then Woj told everybody at ESPN about his story and hey, look, there might be something here. And so then we had ESPN, Tom Rinaldi reached out to us and said, hey, we want to do a game day story about Tyler. We had to think about it, honestly. There was a lot happening in his life. And
because he doesn't end up going back to school junior year.
No, because he passed away during his sophomore year.
He never finished.
So he went back for like 7 weeks his sophomore year. Like that summer, I had the palliative nurse come help me tell him that he couldn't go back to school because he was talking about going back. And I'm sitting here thinking, this is impossible. There's no way he can go back. She came to help me tell him, and he quoted from a book, When Breath Becomes Air, about an OR doctor who was fighting cancer but still working. And he said I don't know the quote exactly, but it said something like, while I'm living with an impending visitor of death, while I'm still alive, I'm going to live. And Amy was her name, our palliative nurse. We looked at each other and I was like, okay, what do we need to do to get him back to school? Like it just like changed the entire tone of the room. And so we went to great lengths to even get him back to school.
And that's where the story really started to blow
so
up.
that's where it started. And then to Tony's point, by the time we did the ESPN story, he was back home and he had announced that he had to go back. He had to leave campus because of his health. And people, it just went gangbusters. Like people reaching out to him and saying things. And then everything just started to spiral from there.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, if anyone, we'll put links to the game day. It's like 6 minutes long. It's incredible. Like it is, if you just need like a daily dose of like gratitude and motivation and just like inspiration. Oh my gosh. And I can't wait to dive into the book.
Yeah.
Cause I'm excited to get into that. So I guess I'm kind of like, there's so many things I want to talk about. So as the story goes, timeline wise, he ends up passing away in January of 2019. January 1st of 2019.
He's 20.
20 at the time. Has just left, a huge impact on the world, the Boilermaker community in general. I think there's an award named after him at Purdue.
Yeah, there's three.
There's three awards. With all of that in his process, like go and like listen to him speak about this journey. I can only imagine that's in the book as well. To the first point where he said, if I get a second chance to do this, like I'm going to do it differently, I suppose. Like the way that he talks and carries himself throughout all the media stuff that I've seen is just incredible. Where did you guys see that start to arise and be like, how is our young man so inspiring?
The day that we told him that he had cancer, he was reading in his Bible, 1 Thessalonians 5:16 through 18. And that verse says, rejoice always, pray continually, give thanks in all circumstances, for this is God's will for you in Christ Jesus. And he took that verse to heart and he lived it. He lived it out to fully as he could live it out.
Yeah.
And that was what motivated him.
From there, just like continued to
he rejoiced always, and he gave thanks in all circumstances. And he wrote a couple of articles that went into the USA Today nationwide, and one of them was on Thanksgiving. And I'll tell you, if you're ever having a bad day, you should go read that article. And he also wrote another article about dreams. It's in the book. It's in the back of the book. And I literally end every one of my talks talking about dreams. Because you had a 16-year-old that wrote about dreams and how his dreams of life were lost. They got morphed into something different. And today we live in America where we think that everything's going to turn out the way we want it to turn out. And if we just work hard, it'll be okay. And I'm here to tell you that if you don't have your health, it's going to look different. And how are you going to respond to that? That's the question. He responded in a way that is so abnormal for adults, and he was a kid. And he challenged us to live in a different way.
Yeah.
He challenged us to be thankful and grateful in all circumstances. And he taught me so much of how to live my life. We forget, I tell people that we have to be reminded every day when we turn the TV on that Coke is the real thing, because we continue to see the commercial over and over again. And I think it's good to get a story out there like this to remind people that there's more to life than what we want to accomplish. Maybe it's something that we're doing for someone else.
This episode was brought to you by our friends at Greek's Pizza. Greek's has been a great partner of mine. If you remember, Zionsville owner Mike Cole broke the world record for fastest marathon with a pizza. Guy was flying. I love Greek's. Next time you're in the mood for pizza, go to GreeksPizzeria.com. They have locations all across the state. I frequent the location in South Broad Ripple, great tap room there, but they have locations everywhere. They've been doing this since 1968. Over 55 years in business. Go to GreeksPizzeria.com. Order pizza today. I just have to imagine through all the time that you have, late nights, just sitting there talking and getting to just conversate about a 19, 20-year-old that is going through a harder challenge than a lot of us will ever face in our entire life. And his resolve and courage and, oh my gosh, I just, you talk about I don't know how many parents out there get to truly learn that much from their child, but if we all just kind of stopped and sat there and gave that the time and
and I think some of the lesson is that as parents we think that we know best, right? And our children sometimes know more than we do at certain parts of their life. For example, I think about if I didn't let him try to be an adult, try to possibly fail. I think we want to fix everything about our kids. And there's so many lessons here to say, look, my kid wanted to camp out. Is there anything wrong with that? No, not necessarily. And if he wouldn't have camped out, the story would have never gotten told.
You think $3 million has been raised in his name?
Oh yeah, it's more than that.
More
probably.
than that now?
Yeah.
He millions of dollars.
He's raised $3 million with Purdue. And there's the V Foundation for a while, and there's the stuff at IU Riley, and then the stuff that we're doing right now with the golf outing.
Yeah. So millions of dollars have been raised that all started from being a fanatical Purdue fan and camping out.
Yeah.
And I think too, to that point a little bit, because of his attitude and his age, I think it gave him favor with people. And they were listening, right? Because it's not normal that a 18, 19, 20-year-old would be responding to something like that and talking about it and living his life. And so I think it just gave him favor with people. And so people started to reach out and look into it with all those ESPN people.
Well, was there a moment when inspiring others kind of becomes the mission? When he gets to have this other thing that he gets to do versus just you're living with terminal cancer.
No, I mean his response. We walk into the stadium for the game, right? And when we walk in, we've had an escort with police to get there, and we walk in, and there's these signs all over the stadium that say Tyler Strong. And I walk up to him, and I said, Tyler, this is all for you. And he would just shake his head in disbelief and say, I'm so undeserving. Wow. And I think part of what attracted people to Tyler was his humility. Yeah. He really believed that it was undeserving, and why me? And you will see him, lots of pictures of him. And one of the pictures that's captured quite often is when he's being pushed on the field to go out to flip the coin. That's what they were doing. And he's wearing a T-shirt that says Ben Strong.
Yeah.
And it was another kid at Purdue that didn't have the same platform that Tyler had. And he wanted to honor Ben by wearing his T-shirt. And that was who he was.
Yeah.
That's who he was.
That is, that's incredible. When he said, was it next weekend, Purdue's going to beat Ohio State?
Yeah.
Like,
He had been saying that since the beginning of the season, and no one would listen to him.
everyone's like, yeah, sure,
Yeah.
buddy. Like,
Yeah.
whatever. And at what point in that game did everyone start to kind of look at him and be like, man, you called this? Like, because it ends up being a rout. Like, it's like 40-0 or something like that, right?
40 to 28, I
40
think.
to 28?
Yeah.
Okay.
The moment I walked into that stadium, I knew we were going to win.
No way.
Yeah.
There was something different.
You felt the presence of something different.
No way.
And everybody I've talked to about the game had some of the same feelings. Like there was something magical in the air. It was undescribable.
When those Purdue players like David Blau and some of the other ones and coaches and I mean all these personalities, like when they kind of like talked about their experiences with your son, were there lessons or just fun memories? I mean, I just hearing the way that David speaks about Tyler was just so moving for me. Are there other stories of like strong relationships that Tyler was able to build with other players or media personalities or anything like that?
Oh yeah, he built lots of relationships
Yeah.
with people. We still talk to some of those people today.
I mean, his interview with Scott Van Pelt's probably one of my favorite interviews that he did. We still talk to Tom Rinaldi and Woj too.
Hannah Storm,
Yeah,
we just saw Hannah
yeah.
recently, and
That's amazing.
And so it's really inspiring when you talk to those people and they say to you, that was the most, I've done a lot of sporting events, and that was the most inspirational game I've ever called in my life. And they start to tear up.
We just saw Chris Fowler.
Chris Fowler told
and
us that.
he said that.
I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
You know, like all the love, and you talk about feeling something special, and you talk about like obviously a huge staple in yours and Tyler's life was your faith. It's like seeing that all come to fruition in this medium of a football game. It just goes and shows, like I know this is like a pro sports podcast. I'm a sports guy, but it just shows like it's so much more than just like
It's
putting
more
on
than-
pads and throwing a ball around.
Yeah, I mean, and I would challenge every athlete that has the ability to have a platform. I would challenge them that to use that in a way that helps and encourages others, because you don't realize what you're doing for families. And in the book, we talk about just even a smile. Like our lives we were in so much pain and we were hurting that I would literally see somebody walking on the street and they would smile at me, and that smile made me feel better.
Yeah.
And just a smile. You just don't know how you're impacting others with your positive actions.
Talk to me about the book. So The Upset. I don't think a lot of people know that Tyler Trent had a book.
Yeah, they don't. You can go to our foundation website and get it. It's tylertrentfoundation.com. The book actually has won 4 awards. One of them is like best sports book of all times. The Reader's Choice Award, it won that. And it won best biography by a young adult. It would have been a New York Times bestseller if we would have traditionally published the book. But we wanted Tyler to see the cover and to be a part of that before he passed away. And so I self-published it. We've donated $30,000 from book sales. And just encourage people to go buy it and see the real story about it.
How did the process of writing it go?
We actually had somebody follow Tyler for 2 years with a video camera. So we have 2 years of coverage of him. We're actually working on possibly doing a documentary and working on a movie right now.
No way.
Yeah. So if we have anybody in the audience that would like to invest in a film, please reach out to us. But it used all that coverage. It was scripted, and had somebody come to our house and interview Tyler, spent 2 days with him. So it's Kelly and I, the book is from our perspective and Tyler's perspective. So the chapters alternate back and forth.
Oh, wow.
And so we put the whole book together that
But a
way.
collaborator came in and
collaborator
helped
helped us.
Tyler. Yeah, Tyler's voice.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, the book sounds exactly like Tyler.
That is incredible.
Yeah.
And so he got to see it before he passed away?
He got to see the cover before the book came out. So,
That's,
I was supposed, we were, at the time, the book was in full. We were doing stuff with Drew Brees. We were doing, Drew Brees wrote the afterword, and we were getting ready to do a big thing with him. And we were traveling all over talking about his life, and then COVID hit. And COVID was probably the best thing for Kelly and I, because it allowed us to grieve, because he passed away, and we had so many people wanted to be a piece of the story, wanted to be a piece of, which is awesome, but it's extremely hard on a marriage.
When you think about like raising money for cancer research, like when you think about making an impact and a legacy and all of these things, I'm sure that putting together a book and a movie and all these, like, to really just, I don't know, build the legacy of that piece. Like, I'm sure that has to be hard and time consuming. And oh my gosh.
I've never watched the two years of video coverage. It's just too painful for me.
Yeah.
But we've given it to people to look at and to start processing. We actually have a script right now that we're working on possibly doing, and then we've had other people want to option the book and to write another script and to do the movie. Man. So we'll see what happens with that.
When you think about the impact that Tyler had on the world and continues to still have, and his legacy, what does that mean to the Trent family?
It's humbling.
It's very humbling. And, you just sit here and think, I'm just a mom. I was just a mom like all the other moms, living in Indiana, doing our thing. And like, how did I get here? It's such a bittersweet thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We had a story that someone told us that they were in China wearing a Purdue shirt, and some Chinaman walked up to him and said, I know Purdue University, Purdue Engineering, and Tyler Trent. So it's quite humbling that his story reached the world. So that's what our drive is, to continue that. He would be totally honored and amazed that somebody 6 years later would want to do a podcast about his life. We don't want other families to go through this, because even though Tyler had cancer, our whole family got cancer. It is unimaginable. The pain and the heartache and watching your child go through what he went through. You just want to transfer the cancer to you as the parent and take it away from your child.
If you had to limit it to a few life lessons that Tyler taught you, from son to parents, how to live life, you don't know how long we're promised here, whether it's 80 years or 20 years. What lessons did Tyler leave you guys that still impact you every single day?
So there's this movie called The Ultimate Gift. And if you haven't watched it, I encourage you to watch it. And it talks about these seven gifts that this grandfather is trying to teach a grandson. And I would say that Tyler taught me some of those ultimate gifts, like every day is a gift. People complain about going to work. Work is a gift. Family is sometimes the dynamics are hard, but family is a gift. So realizing the gifts that we have that we tend to complain about and are ungrateful for, it's a gift. And trust me, it's a gift. When you don't have your child anymore, and realizing that your health is a gift. Yeah. And to make the most of those gifts that you have.
And I would agree with him wholeheartedly with all of that. I think the other piece for me is he taught me that I can do hard things. Like you look in at other families and you think, I could never do that. Like, how are they surviving? How are they getting through? And, just based on the circumstances surrounding Tyler, just the perseverance and the care that it took to take care of him, and just even losing a child in general, that I'm still standing. Like he taught me all of that indirectly.
Yeah.
It's humbling, and I'm also so honored, and I'm so proud to have been his mom and to be able to do those things for him that no parent should ever have to do for their child. But
in grief and loss, that it is like the ultimate teacher. And the gratitude, like people that have experienced loss of, whether it be like child or parent at a young age or any of that, just have this perspective of like gratitude.
Yeah. And when I say this, I don't mean this in a negative way, but I can walk up to people and have a conversation. In the conversation, if it turns to hard, I can tell if that person has gone through hard or not.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, because
Absolutely.
there's a level of depth of understanding that people don't have.
Yeah.
And it's okay. I mean, it is okay because we've gone through hard. We can also sympathize with other people that have gone through hard at a different level that some people can't go through.
Yeah. And I think that, like, you know, whether it's reading the book or watching all the videos and just like learning about Tyler's life and then hearing this podcast, and it's like, I would encourage listeners just like take a minute, like 5 minutes, and just like put yourself in these other situations and just like soak that in. And like you talk about like needing like a gratitude practice for the day or like inspiration or whatever the like the motivation that you need to like, whether it's get up and go to work or like go run your marathon or whatever it is, like there's just so much of that can be had in situations like this.
And I don't know how much time we have left.
Oh gosh, I could go all day.
But I have a story of a young man that reached out to us a couple years ago and said, I want to come volunteer at your golf outing. And I said, okay, come volunteer. And while he was volunteering, I heard he had a story. And he wanted to meet with me to have coffee and talk to me. And so he'd reached out to me several times. And so we actually met. He said, hey, I want to tell you what's my story. And I said, okay, talk to me. And he basically said, I want you to know that Tyler helps basically motivate me and change my life. And I said, well, what happened? He said, well, I was working in Illinois at a factory, and I lost my job. I have 2 kids and a wife, and I'm like, how am I going to do this? And he was in bed, depressed, and he flips on game day. And the interview of Tyler comes on. He like was crying, and he gets out of bed and he said, I'm going to the Purdue Ohio State game. Or my grandfather used to take me to Purdue when I was a little boy. So he goes to the game, and obviously Purdue wins. He follows us everywhere we go. We don't even know any of this. So every game that we went to, he followed us. And basically, it ended up encouraging him to apply to Purdue. Actually, the first time he applied, he didn't get in. And so he applies again. He gets in. And he's a senior at Purdue right now.
Stop.
Going to graduate in communication, he's going to probably be on ESPN someday. And we have become friends with him, and we talk to him often.
What's his name?
His name is
Craig Combs.
Craig Combs.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so that's just one story that we know. We know there's more stories of how people's lives watch the ESPN video, and it changed their life and their direction. He's a student at Purdue.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I want to kind of wrap up the episode talking about the foundation and the golf outing and the work that y'all are doing. The golf outing happens every June, correct?
It does.
Yes.
Usually about the second Monday of June.
The second Monday of June. Where did this get started? Just give me the info about it.
So shortly after Tyler passed away, someone reached out to me and said, hey, I want to do a golf outing to raise money in his name. That ended up not working, but it sparked the idea of doing it. So we've been doing it ever since.
What year is this?
This will be the 5th year. We had to skip the COVID year, but otherwise it would be year 6.
Okay.
This year, I'm excited to announce that it's our biggest year ever. And we have literally sold every possible sponsorship.
No way.
Yeah, our biggest online auction. We always usually sell out the golfing with 144 golfers, but it's quite incredible that this many people would give up their time, their energy, their money to be a part of what we would consider our day.
You also have a concert coming up with My Yellow Rickshaw.
My Yellow Rickshaw, we're going to, for the first time ever, we're going to do a benefit concert in July. It'll be at Daniel's Vineyard on July 24th. If you're interested in being a part of that, we would love to have you come. It's going to be more of a family event most of the time kids can't golf, right? So, or they can, they're probably a better golfer than myself, but usually more of the adults come. So we'll be doing that at Daniel's Vineyard on July 24th. You can come to TylerTrentFoundation.com to learn more about that.
Yeah. And then the final thing is the Captain's Club.
Yeah.
That's getting started.
Yeah. We just launched the Captain's Club. Tyler basically said that not everybody has the intellect or the ability to do cancer research, but everybody has the ability to give. And so we wanted to create a platform for people to be able to give maybe $15 a month or $10 a month, whatever it is, to be able to give just to benefit the kids. A really sad story or a statistic is about 11 therapies will be invented this year for adults, and 11 therapies have been invented, period, since the 1950s for kids. So Tyler received the treatment that was created for adults, that was developed and invented when we put the man on the moon over 50 years ago. And there's there's nothing for kids right now. They're working on it, and the things are starting to happen and get better. But that's the therapy he got. I would ask anybody, hey, look, would you go to a hospital that's 50 years old? And everybody would say no. Would you buy a car that's 50 years old? Not unless you're a car collector, right?
Yeah.
He didn't have there's no other options. So that's why we're involved, and that's why we've been involved at the State House trying to get money
for pediatric cancer research.
Yes.
Yeah, we're trying to get a bill passed. Other states have funding for pediatric cancer research, and Indiana doesn't. So we're working with the state trying to get that to happen along with other families. So, I mean, it's going to take families to come up with a cure rather than to fund it. Just another quick statistic, 5 cents of every dollar that's funded by the federal government goes to kids. So literally every dollar that they give for U.S. health organizations or cancer research, 5 cents go to kids. And kids are our future.
These are stats that, I had no idea about, that are shocking to me. Ways
So-
that people can get involved to help with pediatric cancer research.
Get involved, period, if it isn't with the Tyler Trent Foundation. Just get involved. That's all we ask. We care about the kids.
Absolutely. Whether it's golfing or concerts, or you want to, you're
Buy the book.
an avid book reader. I feel like there are definitely some Purdue alumni out there that need some great customer gifts for their
Christmas gifts.
Christmas
Great
gifts.
idea.
Come on. And that's you're going to get them whatever entrepreneurship book or whatever. Come on. You're a Purdue grad. This is the book for you.
Yeah.
I love it.
Or you don't have to be a Purdue grad. It's a book and actually we've had families say, I was so impacted by the book, I made my kids read it. Because my kids don't understand living in America that there's a different perspective in life. Yeah. They think that we live in a fantasy world on Facebook and that everybody's their friend. And so they've made their kids read it. It's a book that a child can read.
I'm really excited. It is next up in my book rotation.
Yeah, thanks.
Spectacular. We've come to the end of the episode. First off, I just really appreciate you guys coming on and being vulnerable and sharing the inspiring, impactful, amazing story of Tyler. Our listeners are going to love it. I know that it's impacted my life, you being here and giving me an hour of your time. So thank you for that. Thank you for the work that y'all are doing to help raise money for pediatric cancer research. It's just so amazing to see the outpouring of love that even 6 years later Tyler still gets from around the world.
It's crazy.
It's a gift.
It's a gift.
It's so amazing.
It keeps us going.
I can't even imagine. Oh my gosh. I do have a couple fun segments, questions here at the end that we wrap up with all of our guests. So I'm really excited to get this perspective from you all too. So this is brought to you by our friends at Orr Fellowship. It's a great organization here in Indiana, helping develop young and business leaders across the state. So Tony, Kelly, what advice would you give to your 22-year-old self?
Life isn't about you. 22 years old, you're thinking about yourself. At least I was a lot. So I would tell myself, life isn't about you. And thank God I don't know what the future is, because if I didn't know what the future would be, I'm not sure I would tread on.
The thing that comes to my mind is, life is hard. And like Tony said, not that you want to know what the future holds, because it would be too overwhelming and too much. But everything has a way of working itself out. It just does. It's a simple statement, but it's very true that everything always works out somehow. And to just have that perspective and to know that going into hard things, and just embracing what there is to learn from it, you just get through it easier.
I think that's spectacular advice. If we took out like the Ohio State game, so we're gonna say like that game is it can't be that. Is there a favorite Purdue memory? It doesn't have to be sports, could be any memory that just like resonates with you all and your family.
The dedication of the gate in Tyler's name is quite an honor. I think about all of the famous Purdue alumni, and there are very few people that have recognition on campus. Tyler has that gate, and he also has the Center for Pediatric Cancer Research named after him as well. So, most people have to spend millions and millions of dollars to get their name on a building, and so Tyler has that as well. And then lastly, I would sum it up by probably one of the funnest memories, and a memory that just was such a gift to our family, and more than you could ever know or dream about, is my youngest son, Ethan, receiving a football scholarship. It was just a full circle moment for me and my family of knowing all of the hard things that we went through, and yet God's good gifts to our family are amazing. And to see that video of him getting a scholarship was just, it made me cry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's currently a junior.
Yeah, he's a junior in school and has 3 years of eligibility left in football.
What do we think of the new coach? See the guy?
Like him a lot.
I think you're going to see a big change.
Hey, there we go, Purdue fans. Come on.
It's a very different culture now.
I love that. And that is such a full circle moment to go from, being legitimately like a little kid and watching your older brother go through this incredibly difficult and challenging time.
Game Day did a segment on Ethan
last year.
His freshman year when Ohio State was coming back to Purdue for the first time since 2018. And so they did a follow-up on Ethan, and he was a walk-on at that point, and so now to see he's earned every bit of that scholarship. It was
how important to Ethan was it to, because I'm sure if you're walking at Purdue, it's like you probably could have like gone somewhere smaller, maybe in the MAC or somewhere, maybe Ball State.
Yeah, he had full rides offers, and he gave him up to go to Purdue.
And to prove that he could find a spot on the team.
It's so important. And it says a lot, again, like we talk about perseverance and staying the course. He did it, and he did it all on his own effort.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
Which I think really worked out even better. It wasn't handed to him. It's not, no one can say, oh, because your brother, you got a scholarship. He earned, like I
because
said,
people
every
told him that.
minute of it.
Oh, you're only on the team because your brother.
I love a good prove the haters wrong story. I love it. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing.
Thanks for having us.
I'm now more of a Purdue fan. Like I obviously like basketball season's always been like I'm like a Purdue, but I'm like football now. I'm all in.
Well, and I just have to do a shout out to Mitch Daniels because he was one of Tyler's biggest fans, and he paved a way to help the story progress in a way that not only helped, I believe, Purdue University, but the state of Indiana. Right? We put the eyes on the state of Indiana, and it's really fun to see, the Pacers, doing what they're doing to get them in the race on Indiana. We love Indiana, and hopefully our movie will portray Indiana as well. I
have a producer. I know the guys that are from Indiana that put out movies. So if the Pegasus guys, they have a production house that have done they did the movie with Dylan Sprouse that was shot all in Indiana, 90% Indiana. Okay, that's the connection we got to make. Yeah. Anyway, appreciate you guys.
Thanks for having us on.
And one, have a great golf outing.
Thank you.
Two, have a great concert.
Yeah, benefit concert.
Benefit concert there. And three, let's go Boilermakers.
That's right.
Boiler up.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Get In. If you like what you heard, make sure you leave us a review wherever wherever you listen to podcasts. This show is made possible by our friends up at Sweetwater. Whether you're looking to start a podcast or take your content to the next level, click the link in the description to see all of my gear recommendations at sweetwater.com. If you want a behind-the-scenes look at everything we're doing across the state, make sure you follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Nate Spangle. Thank you so much for listening and being part of what makes the Hoosier State great. We'll see you next time here on Get In.